every Azure administrator. I'm talking about VMSS. The VMSS is a way or method that can help us to create virtual machine. VMSS can provide us an option to create our VMs using cluster. The meaning of cluster, you can say that we can create multiple virtual machine on single click. This is the actual usage of virtual machine skill set. So let me help you to understand about the meaning or features that contained by the VMSS, and after that we'll move ourselves to portal and implement the services related to virtual machine skill set. But before that, if you have any single question, any doubt about the points that we discussed in previous class, please let me know. Any question, any doubt related to previous sessions?
I do have a quick question. This is not related to the previous class, but do you happen to have a template for resume or CV template for Azure Admin?
Yeah, I have already created multiple template based on Azure or Cloud Engineers. So I'll share the template of curriculum with, so that can help you to design your own CV. I'll share the entire document.
Okay.
Fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Any other question, guys, about the virtual machines that we completed? So we successfully completed the part of VM, and now it's time to manage the virtual machines using virtual machine skill set. So if you have any question, please let me know, or we just need to start a new topic. Fine, no problem. So I'm going to start with VMSS, virtual machine skill set. As per the name suggests, let me help you to understand about the actual usage of virtual machine skill set, right? VMSS. Let me help you to understand about the feature first. If we talk about the features that are available in our VMSS features, VMSS service. Like with the help of VMSS, we are able to configure virtual machine using auto scaling. Second option, we are able to set up our load balancer to manage virtual machines. And number third is correlated to, you can say that the virtual machine skill set able to create multiple virtual machines. With the help of VMSS, we are able to create multiple VMs, and we can manage and set up multiple VMs at the same time. So you can say that these all are features which are available in our virtual machine skill set. I'm going to help you to understand about the implementation process, means how we can implement the virtual machine skill set. Step by step will guide you that you can perform the task related to virtual machine skill set for any organization or client. Everyone, I hope you all of you are aware about the cluster. The meaning of cluster, you can say that cluster is a basically collection of multiple resources. It may be collection of multiple virtual machine. Like I'm planning to create 3 instances, 3 virtual machines using single cluster. We have one cluster, and a cluster contains 3 virtual machines. Whenever you make any changes with cluster, it will impact to the virtual machine. Like you wanted to add 25 gig of hard drive, not a particular machine. You wanted to attach 25 gig of HDD or disk, and you will get the entire 25 gig space in each and every virtual machine. This is the actual usage of our cluster. So we'll try to understand each and every point because it's mandatory for us. We should know about the load balancer, how we can configure auto scaling, types of auto scaling services, and create a multiple virtual machines in cluster. So these all are the points that we need to cover. So I'm going to proceed. If you have any question, let me know. Okay, fine. So I'm going to open our Azure portal, right? Just need
request of 3,679 Indian rupees and 53.
portal.azure.com. I'm going to log in our portal.azure.com and then proceed to create one VMSS with multiple virtual machines. We are on page of our virtual machines environment. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create VMs with the help of virtual machine scale set. So VMSS is also part of our compute resources. So let me click on compute and we are able to find virtual machines scale set, right? Second option is virtual machine scale set. Consider as a VMSS. Click here. It will redirect you on page of VMSS management. We don't have any VMSS. Please click on create virtual machine scale set. It will give you the complete information to create multiple virtual machines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need to follow 10 different steps to create our virtual machine scale set. Pay as you go this is the basic information. Pay as you go, your subscription, resource group, Azure AZ-104. Resource group works just like a container to contain multiple resources. Virtual machine scale set name. So I am going to proceed with name of class VMSS. As per your requirement, you can proceed with any. It's not mandatory. So I wanted to set up the virtual machines with the help of class VMSS. This is the container. Region, so I wanted to proceed and create the instances in central US location. I don't want to create availability. So one more point we need to understand about the usage of availability zone. So zone, let me help you to understand about the actual meaning of availability zone. As we know that whenever we set up our virtual machine, it's mandatory to assign the backend data center, right? This is our Azure portal. And by using the Azure portal, we are able to create number of virtual machine. And you can say that this is backend of data centers. Yes, I'm talking about the Azure data center. So you know that in case of Azure data center, we have a two important point. One is region and another zones. Right, we have a multiple region and multiple zones are available. So let's talk about the usage of availability zone. Availability zone. The meaning of availability zone, for example, you are trying to create multiple instances or virtual machine scale set with 3 instances, and you have already decided that you want to create your virtual machines in location of central US. This is your selected location, right? So it means that you wanted to create your resources in central US data center. But in case of zone, we are able to find zone 1, zone 2 and zone 3. We have a 3 different options: zone 1, zone 2 and zone 3. Let me help you to understand. If you proceed with zone 1, see, if you decided to create a failover with zone 1, it means that Azure will create same copy of your instances. This is your primary location, and once you select zone 1, you decided to create your virtual machines by selecting the feature of zone 1. It means that Azure will automatically create the same copy of your virtual machine and put into the one more location, right? This is your primary and this one is our secondary location, because you decided a zone 1. Think about, you wanted to create your instances copy by selecting 2 zone. It means that Azure will create your instances, the another copy of your instances, and put it into the maybe East US. Number of zone can increase the number of copies of your infrastructure. So you can say that you need to set up it if you want to manage failover. The meaning of failover, you wanted to increase the availability of your resources. Everyone, please confirm if you're able to understand about the concept of availability zone, because it's really important. We are responsible to troubleshoot, we are responsible to manage and control the resources from Azure portal. Let me know if you have any question about the availability zone, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Why we need to set up it, we should know about the technical things. Is that clear, guys?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So if you want to increase the availability of your resources, you wanted to set up the failover for your resources, you must need to establish more than one zone. You must need to select more than one zone, because once you select more than one zone, it means that you are making the copy of your same resources and put it into the different geographical location or data center. So I'm not going to proceed with any zone, because you have to pay additional amount if you want to create your resources and you wanted to put it into the different geographical location or data center. Definitely you have to pay the additional amount. No problem. So I don't want to proceed with the multiple zone. Let's proceed with none. And this is another option, orchestration, flexible and uniform. Two different options are available, flexible and uniform. The meaning of flexible and uniform, as we discussed before in our Azure VMSS services, in our Azure Virtual Machine Scale Set services, we are able to create bulk VM, right? Bulk VM in the sense we are able to create 10 virtual machine at a time, 20 virtual machines at a time. For example, you decided to create 3 VMs in a single means geographical location. Sorry guys, I need to change the location, because you know that in case of central US we are unable to create instances, so that's why I wanted to proceed with West US. The usage of flexible means it will give you option to make a changes with your virtual machine that you decided to, that you created in your cluster. Like you created a 5 VMs, collection of 5 VM, but after 10 days you realize you wanted to increase the number of VM manually, so you can do that with the help of flexible option. Uniform, as per the name suggests, the meaning of uniform is basically related to the, means you wanted to fix the instances, you don't want to add or remove the any virtual machines from clusters. So I'm going to proceed with the uniform, and select standard type. There are 2 different options are available. One is standard and another is trusted launch virtual machines. So I'm going to proceed with the standard. Select the instances type. Server 2016, this is the operating system that we are planning to create. Windows Server 2016 data center, generation 2. The configuration of our virtual machine, 1 core processor and 3.5 gig of memory. Provide the username and password. Username is web and password as per your requirement. You can proceed with any password. Second, next, this is the panel where we can select the spot instance. Actually, the meaning of spot instance can help you to decide the budget. If you have already decided for budget, so you can make changes with the spot instance, but in my subscription it's not activated, so no need to do anything. Next, disk option, proceed with premium SSD, again next. Networking, so in networking panel we are able to find this is default VNet, and you are able to find the option of load balancer and application gateway. If you wanted to set up your virtual machine with LB, so you can do that, but we will discuss it later. Now I'm going to create virtual machine for virtual machine is calset, means auto with the help of auto scaling. Click on edit setting, and you just need to make one changes. Just need to activate enable public IP address for every instances. You just need to check mark, click OK. Next, another option is scaling service. So it's a type of auto scaling which is really important for us. We should know about the options that are available in auto scaling. This is the point of auto scaling services. So it's our responsibility. We should know about how we can manage the auto scaling. It is really important for us, and we should know about each and every point why we need to set up the auto scaling service, right? So let me help you to understand about the actual meaning of auto scaling. So for better understanding, let me help you to understand with the help of some diagram. I wanted to give you the complete information about Azure Autoscaling service, right? Basically, Azure can give us option to create two different types of autoscaling. One is horizontal autoscaling and another is vertical autoscaling. Horizontal and vertical autoscaling. It's our responsibility. We should know about the gap between these two different types of autoscaling service, right? But before that, we should know about what is this autoscaling. Then we'll discuss about the types of autoscaling. Azure Autoscaling, right? This is our agenda. So basically, as per the name suggests, the meaning of autoscaling that help us to recreate your virtual machine if the CPU optimization or CPU consumption is more than 75%, then it will create one instance in cluster. If the CPU optimization less than 25% or 20%, it will remove the instances from cluster. Means if we don't have a usage of our virtual machine and virtual machine CPU usage is less than 25%, so why we need to pay amount, right? So that's why instance automatically removed from the Azure VMSS cluster. Now think about the difference between horizontal autoscaling and vertical autoscaling. Vertical scaling and horizontal autoscaling. The meaning of vertical scaling, for example, this is our instance, our virtual machines that we created. The capacity of our RAM may be 8 gig, and about HDD 100 gig and 2 core of processor. Whenever we make a changes with hardware, like currently the capacity of RAM is 8 gig and HDD is 100 gig, CPU core 2, you wanted to increase the drive, increase the RAM size, you wanted to make it 16 gig. Whenever we make a changes with this our hardware without making any changes with our operating system and software, we are not adding any virtual machine, which is considered as a vertical scaling. In case of horizontal scaling, what exactly happened? For example, we establish one instance with capacity of 4 gig RAM and 2 core of processor and 100 gig of hard drive. The meaning of horizontal scaling, if the CPU consumption of our instance more than 75%, if the CPU usage more than 75%, so what exactly happen? Horizontal scaling can add a same configuration based machine in same cluster like this. It will create new VM. New VM will automatic add in cluster. This is the actual usage of horizontal scaling. But in case of vertical scaling, it will not add any hard disk, it will not add any virtual machine, it will change the configuration. It will change the configuration. So this is the actual gap or difference between horizontal and vertical scaling. Is that clear, guys? Because most of interviewer will ask you question about, please explain about the auto scaling service and what are the difference between the horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. So as Azure administrator, it's our responsibility. We should know about the difference between horizontal and vertical scaling. If everything is okay, we can proceed for the next step. Please confirm, guys.
Do you mind going over again very quickly, just in a very highly summarized form, the difference between the two scaling?
Okay, so auto scaling categorized into different part. In case of vertical scaling, you are not adding a new virtual machine, you are replacing the existing hardware configuration. Like, we created a virtual machine with 8 gig RAM, 100 gig of hard drive, 2 core of processor. After a few days, you realize and your CPU optimization more than 75%, the CPU consumption more than 80%. So what happened? You need to increase the RAM and hard drive and CPU cores. You are making a changes with existing VM. You are not adding additional virtual machine. You are making a changes with existing virtual machines configuration. But horizontal scaling can help you to immediately create another virtual machine with same configuration to divide the workload of our environment. Is that clear?
Right. Okay. So horizontal, you just create a new instance.
It will automatically create new instance and add into same cluster.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's proceed and try to understand how it works in real environment, right? So back to the Azure portal and see initial instance count means how many instances you wanted to create with your VMSS. As we know that we are able to create up to more than 1000 virtual machine, up to 1000 virtual machines we can create in single cluster. So I wanted to create 3 instances. We have a manual scaling and second is auto scaling. So I don't want to proceed with manual scaling. We need to proceed with auto scaling. We are able to find minimum number of instance 1, maximum number of instance 10. You have option to change it, right? Scale out, scale in. Under the scale out, CPU consumption you can decide 75%, 80%, 90%. It's up to you. Like you decided, if the CPU consumption more than 80%, up to 5 minutes, right? The CPU consumption more than 80% up to 5 minutes, it will automatic number of instances to increase by 1. The 1 instance automatically add to our cluster. We are trying to create how many instances? 3. If the CPU consumption of entire 3 virtual machines more than 80% up to 5 minutes, then auto scaling will add one more virtual machine and the total number of instances become 4. Is that clear? As it is scale in, the meaning of scale in, if CPU consumption less than 25%, yes, if the CPU consumption less than 25%, number of instances to be decreased by, means if no usage of entire 3 different instances that we added in cluster, if the combination of our entire 3 different instance less than 25%, then what happen? It will remove one instance from cluster. It will remove one instance from cluster. So I'm going to proceed with this same configuration. I don't want to make any changes. 3 instances, auto scaling, minimum number of instance 1, maximum number of instances. This is the capacity of our cluster that we decided. Scale out 80% and scale in 25%. No need to make any changes. Next. And again next, review and create. Proceed. Validation passed. We just need to proceed to create our instances. We need to create our virtual machine scale set. Now, once our virtual machine is ready to use, we will proceed for the another option. Fine, it is in progress. Meanwhile, just go through the points that we discussed, and once our virtual machine scale set is ready to use, we will proceed for the another part. It is in progress. Still, we just need to wait for a few more seconds. Once our VMSS is ready to use, we will proceed for the another part. Done. VMSS virtual machine scale set is ready to use, and let's try to understand about how we can use our virtual machine scale set. So click on go to resource and it will redirect you on page of virtual machine scale set. See, a number of options are available in virtual machine scale set. Same option like restart, move, stop, re-image, delete and refresh. Let's talk about how we can access the instances that we created. So to create our instances, 3 instances we created in our virtual machines. In VMSS, we are able to find setting option. In setting, we are able to find instances. So how many instances are available? 3. We are able to find 3 different instances are available in our VMSS virtual machine scale set. So what you need to do, we just need to take the RDP. I'm just going to take the RDP of these instances, right? At the same time, we are able to connect entire 3 different instances with same user ID and password. So I'm going to download the RDP for VMSS2, then VMSS 1, then VMSS 0. Okay, so it still is in progress. We must need to wait for a few more seconds. Number of instances are available? 3, right? Okay, sorry, it number of instances 4. One virtual machine is automatically added only because of CPU consumption. So let me check the CPU consumption. We are able to find monitoring option. Just need to click here. CPU consumption is more than 75%. Now it's down to 51%, right? The starting CPU consumption too high. That's why I added one. More than 80%. See, that's why it added one virtual machine. But wait for 5 minutes. We will lose the virtual machines because the CPU consumption continuously down. Now it's 38%. Wait for few more minutes. Let me refresh to check the CPU consumption. Okay, 31%. The threshold that we decided 25%. So we must need to wait. Okay, CPU consumption 31 point something. Let me refresh. Wait for a few more seconds. Now it becomes again high. Okay. So only if the CPU consumption is less than 25%, it will delete the virtual machines. So we just created our instances, we just created our VMSS, so that's why it's taking time. But we must need to wait for a few more minutes. Definitely it become a less than 25%, and then we'll get the means we will lost the instances from virtual machine scale set. So we should wait for a few more seconds. Meanwhile, let me help you to understand about the virtual machines, how we can manage it. Like number of instances, I think 4 instances are available, because the auto scaling can perform the task. We decided for 3, but unfortunately one instance automatically added, only the reason of the CPU consumption more than 80%, so that's why it added one instance in our cluster. So we are waiting. If the CPU consumption less than 25%, then we will lose the virtual machine. The entire virtual machine will delete, right? VM3, VM2, VM1. Or if the CPU optimization, if the CPU consumption less than 25%, so we must need to wait for a few more seconds. And also you need to monitor the instances. Click monitoring, and in monitoring panel it will give you the information about the CPU consumption. Okay, wait for, okay, 37%. Okay, we need to wait. Okay, now it's 37%. Still we need to wait for up to uh, 25%, means less than 25%, then we are able to means we will lose the instances. If the instances become the CPU consumption of entire instances become less than 25%, then it will remove the instances from our cluster. Okay, so now our CPU optimization is 14%, right? Because no usage of our instances, so that's why our CPU consumption of entire instances down less than 25%, and it will remove the instances from our clusters. So I'm going to show you the number of instances that are available. 4 instances are available, but as the timer that we set up in auto scaling, within 5 minutes will lose the instances from cluster. Now 4 different instances available. Due to reason of auto scaling, scale in CPU consumption is less than 25%, so the auto scaling service can start removing instances from our cluster. So these instances are running with cluster, but the consumption of CPU of entire 4 different instances less than 25%. So let's try to understand about how it works. This is the cluster, and we have a multiple instances: virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 4. This is the current situation of our cluster. Means our cluster contain 4 different virtual machines, 4 VMs are available in cluster. We activated auto scaling, scale out, the first option, scale out, and second option that we configure, scale in. The difference between scale out and scale in, the meaning of scale out, if the CPU consumption more than, right, if the CPU consumption more than 85%, more than 80% up to 5 minutes, it will add new virtual machine in cluster, automatically add one virtual machine in cluster. This is the usage of scale out, add new VM. The meaning of auto scaling, scale in, if the CPU consumption less than 25%, right? If the CPU consumption less than 25%, right? What happen? It will remove the instances from cluster. Auto scaling in, scale in can will remove instances from the cluster. So currently the CPU consumption is less than 25%, means the current status of our CPU usage just 14%, and now it will remove the instances from clusters. So let's wait, refresh. One instance automatically deleting. After that we will lose the other instances as well if the CPU consumption is still down. So guys, this is all about the auto scaling with virtual machine scale set. Everyone, please confirm if you're able to understand about the concept of auto scale in and scale out. See, the CPU consumption is 8%, means less than 25. So we will lose the instances from our, you can say that, from our cluster. If you have any question, if you have any doubt, please let me know, everyone, because it's really important for us. We must need to know about the concept. Let me check how many instances are available. Maybe we'll lose a few more instances. Okay, one instance deleting process. Only 2 instances remaining. 2 instances automatically deleted, only the reason of auto scale in. The CPU consumption less than 25%. That's why we are losing our virtual machine from cluster. Everyone, please confirm if you are able to understand about the concept of auto scaling Scale in and scale out can perform the task automatic. Scale out can help us to add the instances to cluster if CPU consumption more than 75%, 80%, 70%. You have option to decide. And the auto scaling in can help us. It will remove the instances from cluster if the CPU consumption less than 25%. This is all about the horizontal scaling, because in this case the entire activity happen automatically, and we are adding the virtual machine in auto scaling consider as a horizontal. Whenever we make a changes with the existing virtual machine, like increasing the RAM, processor and all, that time consider as a you can say that time we can consider it as a scale out. So this is all about the virtual machine scale set VMSS. Let me help you to understand more about the virtual machine scale set. But this time I wanted to show you how we can set up the virtual machine scale set with load balancer. We created with the auto scaling. Now we are able to set up our virtual machine scale set with load balancer service. So how we can manage the LB? Let me remove entire resources and create our VMSS with LB from scratch again. And after that, we'll discuss about the management of our virtual machine with the auto scaling. So let me remove all resources, and after that, we'll proceed for the virtual machines management. Delete. Okay, most of virtual machines are logged, so that's why we are unable to delete it. Let me unlock the resource, open resource properties, go to the lock option, and delete lock. It's mandatory to unlock the resources if you wanted to delete, otherwise you have to pay the amount for instances, right? So make sure once your practical is completed, once you're done with your practical, make sure remove the all services, because we created our account for testing purpose only. Okay, so once our entire services will delete, we'll proceed to create our virtual machine scale set with load balancer services. So we should wait for a few more seconds, and after that proceed for the virtual machines creation. Fine, still is in progress. Wait for a few more seconds. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Let's take a 10-minute break and then connect again. Okay, everyone. So we successfully created the virtual machine scale set with auto scaling service. Now it's time to understand about the VMSS service with you can say that load balancers. So we should know about how we can manage the services with LB. Right. So load balancer can help us to balance the load between two different instances. We are able to balance the load. So let me help you to understand how to create how to set up LB with virtual machine scale set. Back to the portal, and over a portal we just need to click on compute services. In the compute part we are able to find virtual machine scale set. Select virtual machine scale set, then click create and follow the steps, right? Basic information, resource group AZ-104, class VMSS2. I wanted to set up the infrastructure of VMSS in West US 3. Make it uniform. Select operating system. So I wanted to set up our infrastructure with the help of Server 2016. The configuration of our instances: 1 core processor and 3.5 gig of RAM. Provide username and password. Right? We must need to provide username and password. You can consider it as a local user account and password. It's mandatory to provide the case sensitive password, right? Let me check one more time. Done. Click next. No need to make any changes. Next. Select with premium SSD. Again, next with networking. So in network part, you make a few changes. Like first of all, you need to click on edit option. And after that, you must need to activate port number 3389. It's mandatory. I wanted to set up port number 80 and 443 because we are planning to set up a load balancer. And second important point, this is public inbound point, and enable it because we need to access the RDP of our virtual machine. So make sure public IP address should be enabled for our instances. Click OK. And we are able to find load balancer and application gateway. So we wanted to set up a LB. We wanted to establish load balancer with our instances of our virtual machine scale set. Click Azure Load Balancer, and this is the option where we can create LB. Click Create Load Balancer. Type the name of LB, class LB. Yes, I wanted to make it for public access, that you can access from anywhere. With the help of internet, we are able to access our resources. With the help of internet, we are able to access our website, our application server that you are planning to establish with your infrastructure. The meaning of internal, as per the name suggests, the meaning of internal, it means that you wanted to access your website, you wanted to access your services within the organization, right? So if you want to set up our load balancer for within the organization, please proceed with the internal. With the help of public, we are able to access from outside the network. So I'm going to proceed with public. No need to make any changes. Click create. Auto scaling. Again, we are able to find auto scaling, and this time I'm going to proceed with manual scaling, not auto scaling, with the help of two different instances. Yes, I wanted to create two different instances in the backend of our VMSS virtual machine scale set. Next, review and create. We must need to wait for few minutes, like 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll proceed for the another part. Still is in progress. We must need to wait. Virtual machine VMS is ready to use, but we establish load balancer, right? We are trying to set up a load balancer with virtual machine scale set. So let me show you how we can establish LB. Open your virtual machine, means VMSS properties, go to the instances, and I'm going to take the RDP of both instances, virtual machine 2 and virtual machine 0 and virtual machine 1, right? So I'm going to take RDP of both instances and then create dummy website in VM1 and one dummy website in VM2 as well. So first of all, you should connect the RDP, and after that create a dummy website in both instances. You must need to provide the same user ID and password that you used while creating your virtual machine. Okay, one instance we successfully proceed to connect our instance 1. It is in progress. Wait for a few seconds. Okay, let's connect another instance, VM 0. Download RDP. Okay, so we successfully proceeded and connected with both the instances, right? Two different instances we established in the backend of our virtual machine scale set. Now it's time to create dummy website in every instances. Then you are able to identify your load balancer is working properly or not, right? So what you need to do, we just need to open server manager BZ. Again, need to install IIS service because we are using Windows operating system. So virtual machine, the internet information services can help you to establish dummy website, or you wanted to host any .NET, PHP, Java or HTML based websites, you must need to proceed with the internet information services. So what you need to do, click add role and features. Okay, it is in progress. We must need to wait. This is virtual machine 1 and this one is our virtual machine 2. Next, and install web server IIS. Next, and install. Same as it is in virtual machine 2, we must need to install the internet information services, and after that we'll create a dummy website. Installation is in progress. Let's install with another instances as well. Next, select internet information services, web server IIS, and add features. next and install. Okay, both are in progress. We must need to wait for a few more seconds. Once our internet information services installed successfully, then we will create a dummy website in VM1 and another dummy website in virtual machine 2, and we'll try to access the both websites using the single public IP address. Done. Internet information services install in VM1. Let me open this PC or my computer. Select this PC, open Windows C drive, intpub and www-root. We just need to add it our IIS, means Internet Explorer file with notepad, and make a changes. I wanted to configure this is test web server 1. I'm going to save it. We successfully created web server 1. Second, set up a web server 2. You need to open this PC's, open C drive, intpub folder, and make a changes with your existing file. Sorry, www-root IIS, open with notepad, and this is our web server 2. This is test web server 2. Done. We successfully created two different web servers, and we established two dummy websites, and we are trying to access the same website with the help of single public IP address. So how we can get it? Back to the Azure portal, open virtual machine ScaleSet, and VMSS will provide you one public IP address, and with the help of same public IP address we will access our websites that we created. See, this is the public IP address. What you need to do, we just need to copy the public IP address, paste on any browser, and try to access. I think we are getting the services, we are getting the response from this is test web server 2. I'm going to refresh it. You must need to provide more hit. Still we are getting the response from web 2. Let me try to open with another browser. Let me open with the help of Google Chrome, and see, we are able to find, we are getting the response from this is test web server 1 and this is web server 2. Both browser we are able to get a different website. Let me share the same public IP address with you guys, and please try to access the website and let me know which server is responding for your web page. Can you please try to access this public IP address through browser and let me know about which web server can respond to you. from web server 2. Okay, thanks for confirmation. What about other guys? Fine, no problem. So I hope you understand about the LB with the virtual machine is set, means how we can set up the virtual machines, how we can set up the load balancer with the virtual machine is set, right? So let me help you to understand more about how load balancer, how VMSS can perform the task in real environment. So what you need to do, just need to open the portal, Azure portal, and identify the options which are available in our virtual machine set properties. So let me help you to understand about in virtual machine set. This is class VMSS2, and in the VMSS2 we are able to find instances. Under the setting, we have a two different instances that we already connected with RDP. Select disk. In the disk panel, right, I'm going to add one hard drive. Right, there are no any hard disk available, only 127 gig hard disk which is connected with our instance. I'm going to create one 15 gig of hard drive, but I wanted to add with you can say that with our cluster, not with instances. 15 gig hard drive, click save. Because what happened, once you make any changes with our cluster, it will reflect, it will redirect to the entire instances that we have. Whenever we attach hard drive with our what we can say that with our cluster, we are able to access the same hard disk to entire virtual machines that we added. Okay, we successfully added. Let me check, are we able to find the hard disk in our virtual machines or not? So disk mgmt.msc. There are no hard disk available. See, we are unable to find any hard disk in our virtual machine 1. Let's check with virtual machine 2 as well. Window plus R disk mgmt.msc. Okay, we are unable to find any hard disk in virtual machine 2 as well. Although we added a 15 gig of hard drive in our cluster, but we are unable to find in our virtual machines. Why we are unable to get the information about virtual hard disk that we added? Back to the Azure portal again, and you must need to activate. It's mandatory to activate the hard drive. How we can do that? Just need to click instances, and in the instances point, in the instance wizard, we are able to find one option, latest model, and see, no, means the changes that you did with your cluster, you haven't applied for your virtual machines. So what you need to do, if you want to attach both 15 gig of hard disk with both virtual machines, select your virtual machine and see, we are able to find one option, upgrade. So I'm going to upgrade it and wait for few more seconds. Virtual machine updated successfully. I'm just going to check. Done. Latest model updated. Back to the instance. Instance 1 and instance 2. 15 gig hard disk available with instance 1, virtual machine 1. 15 gig hard drive available with instance 2. Now I'm just going to initialize it and create partition. We successfully added with the drive letter F. I'm just going to initialize the disk from virtual machine 2 as well. Right click, new simple volume, next, 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 and finish. Wait for a few more seconds. Right click, open. I'm going to create one folder, test 1. In second instance, need to open test 2. Means we are able to upload a separate data to each and every virtual machine, but it's mandatory. Means, but we are able to access the same hard drive. Means whenever we add a hard drive to directly to the cluster will distribute the space to entire instances that we have. So it means that with the help of cluster we are able to make a changes with entire instances at a same time. This is the actual usage of virtual machine scale set. I hope everyone able to understand about the concept of VMSS. Please go through the points that we discussed and let me know if you have any single question about the virtual machines management. Take 2-minute time and go through the points that we discuss in virtual machine scale set services. If you have any question or doubt, let me know. Any question, any doubt, guys, please let me know. Okay, thank you so much. Let's proceed for the another point, which are really important for administrator. Yes, I'm talking about the module 4, which is correlated to the network management. And you know that the value of networking in our on premises as well as in case of virtualization and cloud infrastructure. So another module related to Azure Administrator content. Let's start with Azure networking. As per the name suggests, with the help of networking, we are able to set up lots of services. So, but before that, you should know about the few important component of networking. So, if we talk about the components of networking, so multiple components are required. Components of networking. The components are, let me start from very basic. You should know about what is network. You should know about the gap between LAN, MAN and wide area network WAN. Number third, you should know about IP address. All about IP address. Means you should know about the range of IP address. You must need to know about the class of IP address and version of IP address. Number 4, we should know about how we can calculate the subnets and CIDR value, which is mandatory for us. We must need to know about difference between public IP address and private IP address. It's our responsibility. We should know about the gap between public and private IP address. Next, then we'll talk about network protocols. And next, we'll discuss about the VNet virtual network, which is considered as a Azure virtual network. Then we'll discuss about subnets. VNet pairing. We'll discuss about network security group, NSG, load balancers, and last we'll talk about VPN implementation and express route. These all are the components that we need to cover in our Azure network infrastructure. And it's mandatory for us. We should know about the gap. Hello. So these all are the components. Everyone, please let me know how much you comfortable with these points. Everything is okay. Please confirm. Okay, everyone. So these all are the points that we need to uh, go through one before we start our networking, because networking is our, means you can say that, very important topic for administrator, based on administrator content. So do one thing, please go through the entire point that I mentioned, and we'll discuss about the implementation tomorrow, um, because you need to know about the basic thing, then we'll proceed. Is that okay, guys?
That works. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll connect tomorrow on same time and discuss more about the services. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.